And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to your RBLR Rays show. I'm Ben. With me is Zach. Good morning, Zach. It's been a while. How's it going?
Has been a little while. I'm doing very well. How are you doing, sir?
Good. I went to Halloween Horror Nights last night, so I'm a little tired. But
nice.
Yeah, it's cool. Honestly, this might be a hot take, but Hollow Scream at Busch Gardens it's just a better value. You get more bang for your buck. The Last of Us house at Halloween Horror Nights, really awesome. Everything else was pretty okay, honestly. Busch Gardens, it's a little bit more tacky, but I think it's worth it. So I'm gonna die on that hill.
I mean, at Busch Gardens is I feel like when you go to those like theme nights for like theme parks, you have to also take into account like beyond the theme stuff that you do there. What about like the other stuff to do at the theme park?
Yeah.
And, like Busch Gardens just has so much stuff to do. I love me Busch Gardens.
No, it's awesome for sure. But what's also really awesome is the Rays have taken the first two games of the series against Baltimore. Not so awesome. Jose Siri got his hand broken this week. But then another awesome thing was Zach Eflin last night. So really great stuff on the field. Just a couple of things that not super great, but it'll probably work itself out. So yeah, really great start to the series though versus Baltimore, because it's the biggest series of the year, like without a doubt. So far.
It is the closest thing to a playoff series that the Rays will play this season until they reach the postseason, and you can see exactly how they're treating it. You can tell they've got a battle plan. They've got game plans on the pitchers, which they always do. But you get the feeling that they've really taken their time to scout these pitchers, and they're coming in with a game plan how to attack them, and they're being successful. And you can tell that they have the bullpen is already lined up, ready to go. Everybody is ready to go. They're locked in. They're focused. And I think the thing that I have been watching throughout the series that I'm the most impressed with is it doesn't look like anybody is pressing. And I think that this is something that we've seen where has been the Rays' downfall. And when you look back at July, it was a bad month. But in my mind, we kind of got that out of the way. Like in past seasons, they have kind of done that where they will press for a month, and the last couple seasons, it sort of was the end of the year. They were pressing for a month to like in August into September, and then into October they were pressing, and you saw bad results. This year they kind of got out of the way in July, and when you watch their at bats, when you watch the way that they're approaching the game, you can tell that they're just letting the game come to them, taking what's given to them. They're making good swing decisions. They're making pitchers work. I'm just really impressed with this team right now. They're playing baseball the right way. They're not trying to do too much. They're trusting the guy behind them. And from the bullpen perspective, was it 37 innings without an earned run? I mean,
yeah.
I can't, like, that's a level of dominance that, we have come to expect from the Rays bullpen, but we didn't see earlier in the year, and now it's back again. And it was highlighted by Pete Fairbanks absolutely slamming the door on the 2, 3, 4 hitters for Baltimore on, was that 2 nights ago? I mean, that's as dominant as a performance as you will see. I mean, just dotting the corners, blew 100 right through the zone, past a couple guys, just unhittable. When he's hitting his spots, he is unhittable. This is a very fun team to watch right now, and I really hope that we can see this out and sweep, because that puts so much pressure on Baltimore as they then go to Houston and go to Cleveland after this. It puts so much pressure on them and really sets the Rays up for success, because they have an off day and then they play the Angels. So they could really set themselves up for a lot of success with a good last 2 games here.
Yeah, I mean, pulling off a sweep or even just a series win in Baltimore, like they're going to, I don't want to say they have to go for the division, but like you'd be kind of crazy not to at that point. If they had lost the series or even gotten swept, like they could have just kind of coasted the rest of the season. Like, whatever, we'll take the wild card spot. Let's focus on getting healthy and lining up our pitching. but now they're going to go for it because they're at least getting this split. So they're going to go for it, and that's really exciting. So they've got some pretty nice cupcake games lined up, all things considered. So, no matter what happens this series, they're going to have their foot on the gas the rest of the way.
And as a fan, that's about all you can ask for. When you know your team is going for it and they're giving it their everything every single day, it's just entertaining baseball. Because when these guys on this team are playing at their highest level, they're just entertaining. There's so many guys. You go up and down the lineup. There's guys. Everybody can do something entertaining, no matter what it is. Some guys are going to hit. They're going to hit a hustle infield single or a bunt single. Some guys are going to launch it over the wall. Other guys are going to smack a double off the wall and turn it into a triple. There's just so much excitement to be found all throughout this lineup. And when they're locked in, they're so dangerous all up and down the lineup. And then when you look through the rotation and through the bullpen, so many guys just doing the right things and attacking the zone, attacking hitters, not allowing them to get comfortable, and then capitalizing. And when you have a team that's hitting on all cylinders like that, they're a team that can take this division. And I think Baltimore they're on their heels right now. And you got to sweep the leg here if you're the Rays. You can't let them get away with a split. You can't let them. I mean, I even think you can't let them get away with stealing a game. I think because you got Glasnow today. And I think that's a win. I would be very surprised if we lose today. I think Glasnow's going to have a shutdown start. And then the Littell game, you're going to have it. I mean, Littell's been fine the last couple outings. He's only given up like 4 earned runs over 13-ish innings over his last 2 outings. He's been really good. They just need to give him some run support, which they haven't done the last 2 outings. It's kind of comical. I think over the last, two games he's pitched, he's given up 4 and we've scored like 3. We got to give him a little more run support than that. But I think those are very winnable games. So I'd really love to see, the Rays come out and just take this series by the throat and really put the pressure on Baltimore to perform on the road in Houston, on the road in Cleveland, to kind of hold on to the lead there. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we should be putting some pressure on everybody listening right now to make sure you subscribe, share this podcast. I know the Best of the Bay voting is closed already, but maybe you could find a way to vote illegally and stuff that ballot box a little bit more. We would really appreciate that. Yeah. So, make a burner account email and go vote again if that's possible. I don't know if VPNs can go back in time, but if you can do that.
Wayback Machine, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I mean, Baltimore's definitely going to have a pretty tough rest of this season schedule, at least compared to the Rays. I know the Blue Jays are going to be really desperate, and the Rays do have to play them a bit more. Boston is pretty much out of it, but they might try to act like they are still in it. I don't really know what's going to happen with that, but just really excited about this game tonight and then the one tomorrow. And then they finally get an off day after 17 games in 17 days. And I think there's supposed to be some kind of weather thing on Sunday. So Sunday might just be a really crazy, chaotic day where, you said, they're going to empty their bullpen. They're going to just go for it. If they have a weather delay in the middle of the game, it's going to be piecing it together, but it's going to be a grind for sure. So I'm really looking forward to that Sunday game.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if, the way the weather looks. This is a good point about the weather. I'd be curious to see if they try to stay away from Armstrong today with the idea that maybe if Littell's start gets interrupted, they have to go to the bullpen and they want to have Armstrong available for a multi-inning relief appearance. I don't know, but I think that could be interesting to see how they play that. And I think it favors the Rays because getting to Flaherty so as quickly as we did last night forced Baltimore to go to their already depleted bullpen, and when they probably didn't want to, just put more pressure on Baltimore to have guys who are probably needing a rest perform. And again, guys who are not going to get a rest after this. They go right to Houston after this. No rest day, right to Houston, and then right to Cleveland after that. That's a tough. That'd be if that was the Rays, we would be saying that's a tough stretch. We're going to have to try to conserve our energy. But the Orioles can't really afford to do that. So it's the Rays are doing all the right things, putting pressure on the Orioles to perform and putting them in situations where they do not want to be, putting Brandon Hyde and making him make some very tough decisions. I'm really impressed with the way that Kevin Cash has managed this series, and he's been managing the last several series. I think he's been calling all the right moves for the last couple series, and it is funny to see all of the chatter on social media now about how Kevin Cash should be manager of the year, because I remember not too long ago we had people saying, man, should they move on from Cash? We got. I think we answered a question on the podcast a couple of months ago, like, hey, what would it take for Cash to lose his job? And this is why we both said at the time that it's ridiculous, because Kevin Cash is the best manager in baseball, and he's just showing it again these last couple weeks.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of don't really consider like what it means to be a manager in baseball today. Like, it's not really like you're the smartest baseball mind or like you're the best with players. It's more like you're a guy who knows how to communicate what the front office wants, because that's how every baseball team operates, whether you like it or not. They're operating based on what the front office is, providing them with their roster construction and scouting stats, all that stuff, like player development, whatever. Like, they just take that information and relay it to the players. So you have to have someone who's like charismatic enough, but then is also very, I guess, willing to take in new information and also able to break it down for the players who need it broken down. I mean, a lot of them, it's as they get younger and more familiar with the data and stuff, they're more receptive of it. But Cash does a phenomenal job. Like, not a single player has ever had anything but great things to say about him, and the coaching staff as well. Like, his staff gets like poached every year because everybody wants the next Cash on their team, so in their organization. He's always been, I think he's just, I mean, with voter fatigue, like, he might not win it again, but 2-time manager of the year, when it's pretty hard to win it twice. So and he probably deserves it every year, given like all of the obstacles that this team has to face every year, and this year has been no exception. They've had so many of them, and here we are sitting, what's today? September 16th. We've got 92, 93 wins with like 10, 15 games left to play. Like, and it would be insane to not vote for Kevin Cash. He's not going to get it because somebody else is going to get it, because they just like to share that award. But yeah, Cash is the best there is, and it's not even up for debate.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, they're probably going to give it to Brandon Hyde this year because of the Orioles, and that's fair. But I mean, just watch the series. I think Cash is out managing him this series. I think he's making better decisions. I think he's putting his guys in better positions to succeed, and the results are very clear. And again, when the rest of this season for the Rays, you go to Los Angeles. See, wait, you have Los Angeles coming in, then Toronto coming in, then you have 5 games on the road, but in there's 3 days off in those over the last 14 games. You have 3 days off. So he's put this team in a position to be successful, and he's put this team in a position where they can, go for the division, or if they needed to, they could coast. He has a long view of the season. He understands what the goal is, and he puts his team in a position to succeed, and then they do what they do, and then he makes adjustments. So, he's not a person who cannot make adjustments, and I think I think is the most, like you were saying, that's the most valuable part of a manager, is being able to make adjustments based on the data you receive. And for him, a lot of the data he's received is, I don't have the guys that I thought I was going to have when the season started. But whether it's the pitching, where we have we only have 2/5 of our starting rotation preseason available right now. And all the probably the best player in the American League East was on your team and is no longer available, and you're still in this position. It's just a testament to what a great manager he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And these first 2 games have absolutely, he's put on a clinic. Like, they take that first game, the tight one where Fairbanks closes it out, looked fantastic. And then last night took care of business a little bit easier. I mean, they definitely kind of blew it open with the pinch hit home run, which, Cash decides who pinch hits. I feel like it's pretty easy, though, to put in Harold against a lefty.
Yeah.
And then Eflin was cruising. He looked fantastic, and the Rays are getting their money's worth from him.
Oh, yeah. And you think about when you look at pinch hit success, I think that beyond just the the decision to say I'm going to put this person in, I think it also speaks to the environment that the manager creates where, hey, every night you may be a valuable part of this team winning a game, and having that mindset for all the players on the team that, hey, just because you're not starting does not mean you're going to not have a valuable part in winning this game right now. So having that mindset and instilling that in all the players then results in you getting the good results when you need pinch hit situations, when you need the bullpen to come in, and when you create this environment and this culture of everybody is contributing to the success of the team, not just like the top 10% of the roster. That's like the top war guys or whatever. Up and down the roster, everybody is contributing to the success of the team, and creating that mindset and instilling the importance of what every single player does on this team in all of those players all leads back to the success when you see those in those moments, because they have been put in a position to succeed. They are in the right mindset because they know that they may be called upon to help the team win, and they're ready for it, and they perform in those moments. And I think, again, it's just more evidence that Kevin Cash is a top manager in all of baseball. I think he's the best manager in baseball right now. Brandon Hyde's probably going to win it. Good for him. I'm sure, he has worked really hard this year, but I think if we're just talking about who's better, Kevin Cash is the best manager in baseball right now. It's not, not really a question in my mind.
No, absolutely not. And, you're talking about the way the players all play like a role. They could play a role in every single game. There are really no bench players on that team. And that kind of philosophy it like permeates throughout the organization. Like there are no guys who are like non-prospects. There are no like farm hands who are just there to eat innings, or catchers who are just there to catch because they just needed somebody to catch. Like everybody is valued top to bottom, the first round picks to the undrafted free agent signings. So, and that kind of culminates where you see the big league roster where it's like there are no bench players. Everybody is relied upon to play a role in almost every single game.
Yep.
It's really impressive, and other teams could do that if they wanted to. They could replicate that, but they just choose not to, and that's really interesting. So my question is like, why don't teams just do what the Rays do, or can they even do that?
So it's funny that you say that, because I think that question is somewhat answered by one of the biggest news stories of this week, and that is what happened in Boston, where arguably you had a guy try to do that, try to take the Rays philosophy, bring it to another team, and replicate the success. And the problem, I think, is that in order for you to do that, you have to have buy-in across the entire organization. And while it's easy to say that, and it's easy to just look at the results from our perspective and say this is obviously the best way to do things, you got a lot of people who've been doing baseball for a long time, especially in these historic organizations like the Red Sox, the Yankees. If you go to the NL, like the Cardinals, you have these teams that are very steeped in their traditions of how they've done things for years, and they've had a lot of success doing it. But then to try to take what the Rays do and bring that to those organizations requires a level of buy-in that I think people just aren't getting. And I think Chaim, when he went to Boston, tried to do that, tried to create that. And I think he was on his way to creating that, but he was not given enough. In my opinion, he was not given enough time. And it's very clear to me that, especially from ownership, there was not a buy-in to that way of doing things. There was not enough cohesion there, and it resulted in a lack of success, and then it resulted in Chaim being fired. And it's very difficult it's very difficult for one person to go and change a culture. It's just very difficult, especially when you talk about, there's some sports where you can change a culture because it's just one team, that's like, you have to change the culture of those, 80 guys or whatever. If you change the culture of a Major League Baseball organization, you have to change the minds of hundreds of people across the country, because through all the levels of development, through the scouts, through the front office, through the major league players, there is so much you have to change and get all on the same page and march all in step at the same direction It's just not easy to do. The Rays have built themselves up that way, and they've created that atmosphere because that's just the way they've done. That's just the way they've done things for the last several years, and we're seeing the success now. But in order to do that, you really need two things. You need a strong leader who can do that, and then you also need time to create the buy-in from the people that are under you and that are a part of your organization. And if you don't get time and you don't have a strong leader, then you're not going to be able to do it. I think Chaim is a good leader, and I think he could have done it with enough time, but he wasn't really given enough time. And I'm just not sure that, you're just not sure that he was the right guy for it. And I think Boston is a tough place to change the culture. I just think it is. Like, that's a tough place to go into and say, hey, all this history, how we've been doing things for years and years, let's do this instead. I just think it's very difficult to go in and do that. And I think it's why we haven't really seen a whole lot of copycatting of the Rays way, because it's just hard. It's hard to commit to the way you're doing things across every level of baseball, especially if you do not see immediate returns.
Yeah. I mean, the barriers, it seems like they're not really external. It's like,
no,
it's like, well, I want it now. Like, I want a World Series now. And that's kind of like the problem. Like, if you're not going to, go through your Nick Franklin, Taylor Motter, Logan Morrison, star-studded lineup.
Yep. Hey, Logan Morrison hit like 30 home runs, didn't he? He hit 30 home runs one year.
Yeah, like
sort
100 WRC plus 30 home runs, like a Brad Miller type. Brad Miller, another one.
Yeah.
Danny Echeverria, like the Rays paid their dues.
Yeah.
They did their time, and we're getting to watch them reap the benefits of that. So it's just great because now they have this model of sustained success where their farm system consistently is like ranked in the top, honestly, the top 5, like almost every single year. Quality at the major league levels, quality at every level in the minors. We saw the Charleston River Dogs absolutely dominate in their first playoff series, and they're heading to their championship series. Yeah, it happens at every level. The Hot Rods, they didn't make the playoffs, but the scheduling was stupid. So you can't really control all that, but we just, every single year it's like, oh yeah, the Rays are top 5 in minor league winning percentage again. And they don't necessarily have the highest ranked prospects, even though Junior Caminero he might be top 2 or top 3 by the next time we talk about this in like January or something.
Yeah. But, I mean, he is talk about a rocket. I mean, he just is not stopping.
No. So yeah, just sustained success at every level, and it's really awesome, and it's culminating in the Rays just playing super great baseball at the major league level, and that's really what you want at the end of the day. So it's a long road to get there, but they've paved it really well, and the success is repeatable. It's not like they just kind of like threw a bunch of things together and we're trying to see what would happen. Like, there are processes and systems in place, and everything it's truly built from the ground up, and you can't tear it down so easily with any mistakes or injuries. Like, everything is accounted for. So, and now we're going to get to, most likely, unless something insane happens, we're going to watch some really fun playoff baseball a couple weeks from now.
I think the testament to what the Rays have built is that one of the biggest challenges that they're going to have to handle next year is, how are you going to fit Isaac Paredes, Yandy Diaz, and Junior Caminero on the same roster? Like, how you gonna what's the plan for doing that? And Brandon Lau, how are you going to fit all 4 of those guys who kind of play similar roles but are all like A++ players? How are you going to put them on? What are you going to do? What's the plan for slotting those guys in together? Because you're going to have to make room for Caminero. Maybe not next year, but soon. And they're putting themselves in position to have to make choices, but these are choices that are like an embarrassment of riches, having to deal with these kinds of things, and they're putting themselves up to be in this position at the end of the season for years to come. And that's, I think, the mark of true success is consistency. When I think no matter what field you're in, no matter what industry you're a part of, where you work, if you ask someone what is the mark of success in that industry, almost every time people will say consistency, because it's one of the hardest things to do, and it is one of the most valuable aspects because it's so hard to do. For the Rays to create this level of consistency in their performance year in and year out, and to be set up to continue that level of consistency, is what sets them apart from other organizations, because you just cannot. You can't buy consistency. You just can't. You're like, no matter what you want to do, no matter who you bring in as a free agent, no matter who you trade for, you cannot buy consistency. That has to be developed. That has to be created, and that's what the Rays have done. And it's just it's just impressive to watch. And it, as fans, we just get to reap the benefits and watch some really, really fun playoff baseball.
Yeah, and maybe you could watch some really fun playoff baseball while wearing a shirt, or I guess maybe two shirts at the same time, from shop.rblrsports.com. We've got everything from the Bring Back to Devil shirts that are the Rays inspired merchandise to the Bucks, the Lightning, and of course the Rowdies. Really cool like banner shirts. We've got. I think we're live with those now, so you can check that out at shop.rblrsports.com. Use promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY. You get 10% off anything and everything you order, and you'll look good doing it. You won't look good until you get the shirt. So you'll be ugly when you buy it, but then you won't be ugly later. So just, take care of that.
Take care of that for the benefit of yourself and those around you.
Yeah, they don't want to look at you anymore. Please buy a shirt.
Please buy a shirt.
Maybe one to maybe we can sell I guess I was going to say, if the Rays ever were bad, we could sell bags for people to wear on their heads, but yeah, I guess that's not really relevant. Maybe the Yankees could start selling like Yankee caps, but it's also a bag that you put over your head because you're a Yankees fan. You don't want people to know that. So
yeah, I wouldn't want to know. I wouldn't want people to know that right now.
No. Yeah, I guess we.
Do you have any thoughts on Chaim being let go?
He was the fall guy, the scapegoat. They wanted to clean house, kind of reset. Ownership wanted to, or so it seems. And then he was like, "Yeah, let's bring in this guy. He's going to have some innovative ideas. He's going to try to change things, and that's great. And then he can be our scapegoat after we kind of clean house and shed off a bunch of payroll and rebuild in the way we want to rebuild, and not do the thing that he wanted to do." So he's going to land on his feet. Maybe he comes back and works in some kind of consulting role. Who knows? But I think there are going to be a lot of organizations who want to get him on their payroll. So I'm sure within a couple months or whatever, it'll be settled and he'll have a new job somewhere.
Yeah, he's not going to be out of work long. He's a bright guy. He's got a lot of the right ideas about how to build a successful franchise. And I don't know what Boston's going to do. What are they like? Whenever I hear people calling for the firing of a coach or whatever, or if it's in football, if it's a coordinator, my question is always, unless they're clearly the problem, because a lot of times you have, the team as a whole is not performing, and so you look for someone to blame. And my question is almost always, okay, well, who are you going to get that's better? Until you have a good candidate that I think is in line to replace that person, I think could do a better job. I'm not really a guy who's going to call for him to be fired, because I think that firing people is not good for an organization most of the time. And so unless you have a really good plan for how to go on from that, it's just not a good thing to do. I don't know what the Red Sox plan is, right? What is their organizational plan for the next 2, 3, 4 years? Do they have a plan? They just fired the guy who was making the plan. So I just have, I have a lot of questions for them.
I think their plan might just be to spend more money. They haven't been doing that lately. When did he take over? When did Bloom take over? 2021?
Was it? I thought it was earlier than that. I thought it was 2018.
All right, I gotta do some research here, but so I'm gonna go to his Wikipedia. I guess that's probably the best way to do that. Maybe 2017 he took over.
I think it was 2017. I'm not saying that because I've found it. I think that's just my.
Okay, wait, 2019.
2019. Okay.
2019. So he took over in October 2019. So for the 2019 season, the Red Sox payroll, which I think they still had Mookie Betts back then.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So Red Sox payroll 2019. I can't get their salary numbers because I have to be a premium member of Spotrac, but I know it was at least. Oh wait, just kidding. They were sixth in payroll, $187 million. This season, their payroll was. They were 12th in payroll at $181 million. So like everybody else around them kept spending more money, and they stopped spending money. So they should just spend more money. Like, I mean, it's kind of dumb, but like if you have the money, like why would you not spend it? So,
And
I mean, you can't just throw money at things to fix your problems, but like they can kind of do that and then maybe win, some postseason games on like a one-off kind of situation. But like they just stopped spending. So they stopped giving him money to use, and they're like, all right, go figure this out. And also, we already have all these really big contracts on the books, so you better fix that. They set him up for failure.
They did, and I think a lot of teams plan for success, and what their battle plan to succeed next year is just going to be sign Shohei Ohtani. That's got to be like 5 or 6 teams plan to succeed next year, including I think the Yankees and the Red. I mean, hey, I would love it, but like I think the Red Sox and the Yankees are definitely going to get into a fight over Shohei Ohtani for sure. I don't know where he's going to want to go. I hope he doesn't go to the AL East unless he comes to us. That'd be great. Otherwise, I hope he goes somewhere in the National League. I don't
National League West. Keep him over there.
There you go. Go to the Diamondbacks. That'd be fun. That would be fun. Yeah. I would have Shohei Ohtani and Longo over there. That'd be fun. Or the Reds. That would be fun. I think that would be very interesting. Him going to the Reds with Ellie De La Cruz and some of the other guys they have. That could be fun. But I think a lot of teams are going to try to do that. And then there's also this Japanese pitcher I've started to see that is getting posted. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name until I've had more time to learn it. But there's one of the top Japanese pitchers is also going to get posted, I believe, this cycle. So there's going to be a lot of teams looking to sign him, and I think the Red Sox are already on that list. And then of course Trout's available apparently, so people are going to try to trade for him. Trout's a weird one where I don't know how much value he has right now just because of his injury history, but when he's healthy, he's a top 10 player in baseball. So it's very weird to see what these teams that are in the cellar right now, teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox that are normally not there, are going to not want to be there much longer. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do to get out of there. And it's probably just going to be to throw money and prospects at the Angels, or at least at Shohei, and then throw prospects at the Angels for Mike Trout. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trout's a New Jersey guy, so I mean he's not a free agent, so they don't have like that kind of pull. Yeah. But we'll see. But back to the Rays now. They, like we said, they had a pretty successful week, taking care of business against the Mariners. And then, I guess we got like the Sunday was like the tail end of that series, and then won their series in Minnesota, and then they started off with 2 wins here in Baltimore. Really great performances all around, but some really great standout performances as well. So who was your bat of the week this week?
My bat of the week goes to a player who has consistently been in the running for this award almost every single week. He's won it a couple of times, I think. And he's so consistent. He's the heart of this lineup, even though he's at the front of this lineup. It's Yandy Diaz. He is figured out his swing. He's got the power that we've always wanted to see from him. He is in a race for the batting title. I mean, he's one of the top 5 or 6 hitters in baseball right now. And to have that guy leading off your lineup every single night, knowing that he's a threat to launch on the first pitch of every game and is going to get on base a couple times a night. I mean, what more can you ask for an anchor of your lineup? He had I think an over 200 WRC plus for this week. Just phenomenal week from him. Phenomenal season from him. He's a guy that I like to tune into every at bat I can of his, even if I'm not watching the game for some reason. I try to tune in for his at bats because something exciting is usually bound to happen.
Yeah, I mean he's the 7th best hitter in the league by WRC plus, but this week he was at a 233 WRC plus. worth half a win by himself. He hit a couple home runs. That walk-off home run against Seattle on Saturday, like this past Saturday, was awesome. Came in the game as a pinch hitter too, so that was really cool. And he's just taking care of business. Super. He's been locked in all year, really consistent, and he's kind of just leading the way. He's almost like invincible. Like he's definitely had his days off, and he's had his little like injuries here and there, but he plays through a lot. He's a really tough guy, and he's an extremely tough out. So be really happy to have him, and just a really big part of this team. So I'm glad they signed him long term this past offseason.
Great. That's a really good call out. What a great long-term signing for the team to have a guy who is that good be a part of this team going forward. A leader on the team, leading off the lineup is a really good spot for him. He's completely embraced that leading off the lineup spot for him. I hope they keep him there forever because he just does so well in that spot. On the pitching side of things, who did you have for your arm of the week, Ben?
Bob Stevenson. He has been really awesome. He's definitely kind of figuring it out against lefties now, so that's really great for a higher leverage role. He did have a blown save this week, but he still had one save and 2 holds, so he went kind of 3 for 4 there. I almost went with Fairbanks because he went 3 for 3 with 3 saves. But Stevenson was the only guy who blew a save this week, but he's still been fantastic. Faced 9 batters, struck out 5 of them. Like that's only allowed 1 hit. Getting his slider shape like a lot tighter, where your Savant calls it a cutter, but it's still a slider. Like it's amazing. Throws it super hard, still can't hit it. Seam shifted wake really makes that thing take off at the last possible second. Just a great get. I know Alika Williams is a steep price, but this has been paying dividends, and he might be like the third guy up. I know Jason Adams on the IL, which, by the way, he had a really good bullpen session, I think, yesterday. His oblique is like fine. He'll be back pretty soon. He's going to get in some instructional league games for his rehab and possibly join the team after this road trip. So that's pretty cool. So he'll be back soon. But anyways, it's like we got Fairbanks, Adam, and then maybe Stevenson. I still think Poche kind of has the grip on that. But it's a nice problem to have, like 4 really good guys at the back end of your bullpen. And with Fairbanks, Adam, and Poche really being pretty platoon neutral. I know Stevenson's kind of the righty specialist, but he's like as high leverage as you can get while still being a specialist guy. And then we also kind of have Kittredge, who's like slowly getting back to himself. His stuff is getting a lot better. Velo's a little bit up. Still not really sharp on his pitches, but it's getting there, and that it takes time to happen. So the Rays have time. They don't have to throw him into a high leverage role right away, but he's someone who could also kind of be like a dark horse later as the season goes on.
Yeah, and I mean, even the blown save that Stevenson had this week was on like a wild pitch, so kind of a fluky, whatever. Not a big deal. They won that game anyway, I'm pretty sure. So whatever, who cares? He's been excellent all ever since we acquired him. We are really having an embarrassment of riches. Poche, he's not my arm of the week, but like, and I don't think he was like particularly excellent this week, but like has really been flying under the radar excellent the last like month or so. He's gotten his ERA down to almost like he's like a 2.13 or something ERA. I think he's like tied. He's like top like 2 or 3 in the American League in wins, which is just funny. It's just kind of it's just sort of a byproduct of the way baseball is being played now. But Poche's been like very quietly, very, very good for like a good couple months now, and he just continues to be excellent every time he's out there, which is really fun. But my arm of the week goes to a guy who has been I guess my theme for my players of the week is players who not only were really good this week, but have been really good all season long. And my arm of the week goes to the guy who's been kind of the stalwart of the Rays rotation all season long. We've had injuries, we've had people in and out, we've had long-term injuries. There's one guy who's he's been a leader. He's been a consistent force to the Rays rotation, and that's Zach Eflin. Another phenomenal performance, was no hitting. The Orioles threw 5 last night. just a phenomenal performance from Zach Eflin in a game where we needed it, where it really benefited us to have those 7 innings that he gave us. Just absolutely dominated the Orioles lineup, which has been one of the hottest lineups in baseball. Just was all over them all night long. They got one good swing off of him, and that's it. And he's been excellent all season long. I don't know where this rotation is if he's not a part of it. Best free agent signing of the cycle, no question. I don't know who could have possibly been better than him. He's been so valuable to this team. When you talk about most valuable and what they do for the team, what they've created for the organization, he's got to be up there. It's just one of the most valuable players on a team this season.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's going to be the number 2 guy probably behind. I think he would go behind Glass now. I mean, that's I think it's just whatever. Like it depends on, I guess, who's more rested. But if they could do it exactly how they want, we're probably going Glass now, Eflin, somebody the
Probably
third.
Savali.
Sure.
He's been fine. He's not been like amazing.
Yeah, Savali's been good.
He's been fine. He's averaging like 5 to 6 innings, giving up like 3 runs ish a game. It's whatever. The offense is good enough to cover that, especially when you've got guys in the front of the rotation who can give the bullpen the days off they need to be ready for it. Like you look at Glasnow and Eflin, they're guys that can go 7 innings. And they can give your bullpen the time off that it needs to be ready for when Savali is maybe going to come and give you like 5 high quality ish innings, and you got to cover the last 4. But you've budgeted for that because you've had the performances from like an Eflin and a Glasnow to lead up to that. Yeah. So it goes back to roster construction. The team's just well constructed to handle whatever is thrown at them because they have the guys to fill the needs that their team specifically needs.
Yeah. And then you've got Littell, who could go like 7 innings on 50 pitches and then be ready the next day, probably in case they need him. So, yeah, the rotation is one of the best in the league, and that's even considering like Springs, Rasmussen, McClanahan didn't even have Boz to start the year. Yep. I don't know. There's probably somebody else I'm missing, but you get the point. Like it's super impressive. Yeah, just great. It's such a good team. It's crazy.
It's just a good team.
Yeah. Couple injury things as we wrap this up here. Like I said, Jason Adam, he's probably going to come back at some point during the next homestand, assuming his he's slated to throw another bullpen today, so we'll see how that goes. But it should be fine. Jose Siri, he's said he'd be back, and he thinks 2 weeks. I'll take his word for it. I don't know about that, but a first round bye would be pretty nice. But we've got Margot to fill in, who is like also he's not like Jose Siri level defense, but like he's a really good defender. He had a pretty nice game last night. So it looks like Margot is probably feeling healthy. I know the bone fragment thing, the loose bodies or whatever in his elbow, like that was plaguing him for a little while. So maybe he's fully healthy now. I think that's it though with injuries. It's just Adam and Siri, and then Margot is back now. Nobody. Shane Boz is going to pitch in instructional league games at some point before the end of the year, so he'll be like fully ready for spring training next year. But other than that, I don't think we have any more injury things.
I feel like Colby White is I think they've kind of decided they're just going to let him chill out in the minor leagues this year. They're not really going to rush him back up to like AAA where he's ready to like go to the majors necessarily this year. It feels like he's just he's not really like, there doesn't seem to be really any urgency to like get him ready. I think there was a time where there was some bullpen uncertainty where maybe they were trying to like kind of push him to maybe be ready, but they've kind of stabilized the bullpen. So it doesn't really seem like there's a need for him. I don't think he's better than anybody at the major league level. So they seem content to just kind of let him continue to work on his craft a little bit in the minors. But I think that's the only other injury-ish thing we've been talking about.
Yeah. And his stuff is like gradually improving, but like Tom, it just takes time to like relearn how to throw from Tommy John. So and everybody's different. So as long as, which, he is taking his stuff, seriously and doing what he has to do. But as long as he continues to do that, there's no reason he won't, put himself in a position where he could be a contributor at some point. Maybe this year, but I'm not going to bet on that. I think someone like Manuel Rodriguez probably has a better chance down in Durham, the guy they traded for from the Cubs, or just anybody who's in AAA right now has a chance, I'm sure. yeah, I'm just excited to get this series wrapped up here, hopefully with the sweep, and then kind of maybe coast a little bit for a while, get some guys some rest, because this 17 game stretch has been pretty intense, and the road trip itself with a couple different time zones has been a little tricky too.
Yeah, and they've performed so well despite that. I mean, going blow for blow with the Orioles the whole time, and then now overcoming them has just been really impressive to watch. And they have earned a couple of days off, so hopefully they go home, take an ice bath, go get some ice cream or something, and just relax for a day.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's all I've got here. So I don't know. Did we miss anything? I think we talked about like everything we said we would. So I think we're all
Yeah,
right.
I think I think at the end of the day, all that we're waiting for now is just kind of see what happens, what's in front of us. Do we take the division? Do we not? What will how that affect the postseason? But it's all kind of in front of us right now, so
Yeah.
it's just exciting to watch.
Yeah. Glass now and Grayson Rodriguez tonight at I think 7:05 first pitch.
Hmm.
Allegedly 1:35 on Sunday, but we'll see if if they can stick to that. Might wash my car today. Depends on how the weather
That's a
goes
good
here,
idea.
but good stuff. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Also, I know you before the show. You guys were talking about some stuff on Twitter. I'm like, what's Twitter? I deactivated that, so I'm out of there, which is awesome. I love it. So I guess I don't really need my at dog pancake 73 thing down there anymore. Um, but yeah, I mean, I started a Substack. I'm going to be not doing this show anymore. So this is actually my last show. I guess I kind of buried the lead there, but this is my last one as a host. I'm sure I could be back someday as a guest.
Oh,
And
for
I
sure.
started a Substack. I actually don't know. I think it's okay. It's benwhitelaw.substack.com. 65 subscribers. Maybe you could be number 66.
Hmm.
If you're listening to this a little later, maybe you could be 67. Who knows? Um, I can get my stats on my subscribers actually. I'm pretty big in the UK actually, thanks to Pat Davenport. So I've
There we
got
go.
actually I'm in 4 different countries now. Hold on. This is groundbreaking. Okay, I have somebody in Spain who subscribed. So thank you, whoever was in
Nice.
Spain. But US and Canada, I've got that on lock. UK, actually I have 2 subscribers. So thank you everybody in the UK. And yeah, I guess, RBLR is going to be pretty big in Spain someday.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
see worldwide. But yeah, I'm going to be posting just baseball analysis, not like general stuff, but like more league wide, kind of conceptual things. I'm working on some playoff stuff right now. I posted a defensive evaluation or run prevention evaluation thing I kind of thought of. I've been thinking on a while. Yeah, if you want to subscribe to that, it's benwhitelaw.substack.com, and it's free. I'm not going to charge anybody. I don't really care about that. I have a full-time job already.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah,
Well,
thank you everybody. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I
go ahead. I don't
wanted
want
to
to cut you off.
say before we go that I'm really excited for all the things that you're going to be doing going forward, with the Substack and whatever else you do. Really excited to see where that goes. It has been my pleasure to be the co-host of this show with you ever since I started, a couple months ago. The way that the way that you and Eureka have supported me, and the way that you have supported me as a co-host and letting me kind of go through the learning pains and developing, and you just being such a consistent and such an excellent person to talk about baseball with. I've really appreciated your professionalism and your knowledge every day we come on and do this. So I've really appreciated hosting this with you. It's been one of one of the best parts of my week has been coming and doing this with you every week that we've done it. So I really appreciate everything that you've done for me and that we've done for the show. And we can't wait to have you back on as a guest. Can't wait to see what you do in the future. But just thank you, Ben. I think I speak for all of Ray's fandom when I say thank you for what you're continuing to do, and just can't wait to see what you do next.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome. I thank you. Yeah, thank you, Eureka, for having me on here for like almost 2 years now, something like that. No, yeah, I think yeah, it's been like 2 years. That's crazy.
Wow, that's
Still got
crazy.
the same mic. I'll keep it. I'll keep the cord not rolled up and crinkled, so I could maybe use the mic again someday. But
Hmm.
um, 107 appearances. Wow.
Wow.
I mean, I'm definitely not like the most capped RBLR member, but once
lot
you
of
hit the
caps.
Century Club, you get I think they put you on a lifetime pension, so that's why it's really important that you guys get those shirts and stop being so ugly. That'll help me out for my retirement
The
fund.
RBLR pension.
Yeah. Wait, it's RBLRPF
RBLR
or
PF.
PF retirement fund. I don't know, but there's an acronym in there. We'll put it on a shirt, but
RBLRF, RBLRRF, something like that.
yeah, retire something. I don't know. But we're gonna stop spelling. We're gonna start wrapping up the show. But yeah, anyways, thank you everybody. Remember to like, subscribe, follow, and share this podcast and all of our RBLR network podcasts with everybody you know, not just in the Bay Area. Send it to Spain, Canada, the UK. We've already got our industry plants over there, so make it happen. And go Rays. We're going to sweep the Orioles. We're playing the Orioles. Go Rays.
Yep. Raise up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.